Today I'm going to cook this dish called the dry fried river noodle. In the Chinese Cantonese, it's called the 乾炒牛河. 乾炒 means dry fry, dry stir fry. 牛 means beef. 河 means 河粉. 河粉 means in the olden day they used this special river close to Guangzhou area to make these. They grounded the rice and then mix with this kind of white, like a fettuccine, but made out of rice, with the water coming out from this spring water from that special river. So that's what the original is. So this dish, the take is also the Mandarin called 干炒牛河. It's the same meaning. 干炒 means dry stir fry. 牛 means beef, and then 粉 means river noodle. But there's a story while I'm working, and I explain to you. While I was dating with my husband, he took me to see his mom in Orlando. The place I live doesn't have this kind of noodle, doesn't have this kind of dish in a Chinese restaurant. They kind of have an Americanized food. So the first thing, I need to soak this river noodle. That takes the longest time. I'm waiting for the water to get hot. While I'm waiting for the water to get hot, you also need a bunch of green onion, one sweet onion, and few of this Thai pepper, and bean sprout. Get the bean sprout that's dry and nice, aerated. Don't get the one kind of mushy, have a bunch of water sit at the bottom. Those are no good. And the best way to get them is go to Asian store, buy them from there. You buy them in a bag, and don't just buy them in a bag. Don't some Asian store you can grab them for a handful, but you said how much is it? Is about a pound, and you don't need. They will wilt it when you start cooking them. So the water is still not hot, so I'm going to clean the green onion, get ready for cut the green onion. So you cut them in an angle. You cut the green onion in an angle so it looks prettier. And so my husband took me to Orlando to see his mom. I guess at that time I'm ready to get married, because in American culture, when a guy takes you to see his family, that means they're pretty serious. So while I was in Orlando, they took me to this their favorite Chinese restaurant called Jin Hao. So my thinking is, if I come to a big town to eat, they must have this 乾炒牛河, or dry fried beef and rice river noodle. So when the owner actually came over, asked me what would I like to order, I said I would like to have 乾炒牛河 in Cantonese and Mandarin, because I'm fluent in both language. The water is hot, so I'm going to put the water in the bowl to soak this noodle. That's like what I said, that's take the longest time. While the noodle filling up, I'm continuously cutting the green onion. So I was speaking, I usually don't speak foreign language right in front of my husband, because I don't want him to feel like he left out. So, but in that situation, I have to speak a foreign language to the waitress and waiter. So I ordered this dish, and then when it came out, my husband was like, "What the heck is this? I've never seen it before." So he pretty much grabbed my whole dish and started eating it. And I said, "Well, if you like it, I can cook it for you tomorrow." So the next day we went to a local Asian grocery store and bought all the material. At that time, I didn't use the dry hor fun. I used the wet one, the one already, the fresh one. So, and when I cook it, and I put it in the hot water and cook them, and then those noodles disintegrated, literally fall apart in the water. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So it was pretty embarrassing right in front of my in-law. So this is Thai pepper. You need they are very hot. So I strongly advise you to wear a glove, but if you don't wear a glove, you make sure you after you cut them, you wash your hand. So you cut the stem off and cut them half if you can. Like I mentioned, my family, they all love spicy food, so I leave the seeds in. And they are very pretty. They're bright red color to make the dishes more vibrant. I already smell it the minute you cut them open. It's very, very pungent, very spicy, and whew, my hand is already feeling hot. So you just cut the stem off, cut the pepper into half. Okay, and throw away all these stems. And I'm gonna wash this bowl because it had all these peppers in it. I think my bowl is too small, so I'm gonna use this big pot to put water in it and soak that noodle because it doesn't look like it's enough room. Yeah, the pot is perfect to soak this noodle. See, it just soaked it hot water. And then meanwhile you just cut the sweet onion. You know, I thought onion, the red onion is the most make you cry, but actually just about every type of onion will make you cry. So I try to handle them quick, and I don't want to cry. So when you cut the onion, you kind of cut them in a slice. Yeah, I can smell it very quickly. Very strong. So I avoid to fumigate by this green onion or whatever, and put it right close to the stove area, and put the bean sprout also over there. Put the pepper over there. Meanwhile, I'm gonna prepare the meat. So these meat, they are all left over from when I make beef Wellington. They are very good meat, so I don't want to throw them away. So I save them to make, you just cut them slice. Very tender. You can tell when you cut them, they pretty much like fall apart. I can't use all of these. I'm gonna save one or two of them, make beef Wellington, smaller piece. During Christmas, I bought a whole loin to make the whole big piece of beef Wellington for people at the Christmas party. And this is the front part, the bottom, you know, the end piece. So back to that story about cooking the the river noodle. So when I start cooking it, and then those noodles all fell apart. And when I served on the table, my mother-in-law was trying to be polite, and she said, "It tasted good. It just looked a little bit different than the one we have yesterday, the day before yesterday." And so at that moment, I determined to learn how to cook this dish. So when I came back to town, and I called all over the town, calling, "Hey, do you know how?" Ask every single of the restaurant chef, do they know how to cook this dish? So lots of them said that no, we don't cook this dish. And then so I just pick up another restaurant's phone number, and finally I found one. The guy said that, yeah, I can cook that, and if you come on over, I'll show you how to do it. And that's how I end up cooking this dish. So this will be enough for one beef Wellington, and then I'm gonna cut more from the other side. So these 2 pieces will be enough for 2 beef Wellington, and so I'm gonna save them for another video to make beef Wellington. I never had a video for making beef Wellington. I have one in like a slideshow. It's not very good, so I wanted to make one. So you have this silver skin. When you have silver skin, you need to avoid them because they're kind of tough. I'm going to throw away this piece. So the meat that I need to cut is ready. I'm done cutting. I'm going to wash my hands and then start marinate the meat. So the meat, you need several ingredients. You need this Shaoxing cooking wine. It's very popular in Chinese cooking, called Shaoxing Lui Zhao. And then you also need this kind of ground bean sauce. Just about any ground bean sauce will work, and some of them tend to be sweet, but I like the one that not as sweet. So this one is not as sweet. You also need sesame oil and need some hoisin sauce. The first thing you need to put is ginger juice. And then I have another video called ginger green onion chicken. When I cook the ginger, I save these juice. So you need 1, 2, 3. They're half cubes, so you need 1 cube, 2 cube. You need about 4 cube of this ginger juice, and then you need about 2 tablespoons of this Shaoxing cooking wine, and you need about 1 tablespoon of this sesame oil. And you need this ground bean paste. This is the key part to make the dish that brown color, make the noodle. The noodle is white color. You need them to be brownish color when they're done cooking. So you need about 3 teaspoons of it. And you need another 2 tablespoons of, my hand is wet, so I can't even Get to open this oyster sauce. 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. You need about 2 tablespoons of it. The other thing, you need cornstarch. You need about 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. You need about 3 tablespoons. Then you mix the meat to marinate the meat. Now, some people like to put a little sugar in it. So the ginger juice, cooking wine, soy sauce, those are pretty much frequent use in the Chinese cooking. But this one, you don't use, I didn't use soy sauce, so I used the ground bean paste. It's a similar thing, but it's in a thicker form. And right now the ginger is still not melted, so I let it marinate, let the ginger juice melt it, so it will be fully mixed. And smells really good. So the first thing is, after this is marinated, after all the ginger cube melted, we're going to cook the meat first. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to soak this noodle in the hot water. So if you soak them in a cold water, it potentially need a longer time. So if you soak them in the hot water, and it speed up the soaking process. I have decided to put a little teaspoon of granulated sugar to enhance the flavor, because the oyster sauce, the ground bean paste, they are all tend to be salty. So I decided to put a teaspoon of granulated sugar to ease the saltiness. So by now, all the ground ginger is already melted, and the meat is pretty marinated, situated. You know, you just kind of can tell from the texture. So I'm gonna move everything over to the other side. By the way, I also need several cloves of garlic to start it. So I have about 3 tablespoons of garlic infused, just regular vegetable oil. And I'm going to start warming up the wok. This is the wok that to cook the meat, not cook the river noodle. You turn the stove to high heat. And because the oil is infused with garlic, you can kind of start smell it. And then with the oil, you always use your hand to feel how hot it is. And right now I feel hot right here. And I can start putting the meat inside. So the meat is almost ready. Because they all kind of clump together, you need to separate them. like these big pieces, you need to flip them over. So the meat is done cooking, so you need to move it away from the stove. This is later on we used to put it on top of the noodle. And you need about like 5 tablespoons of cooking oil. So you can tell the oil start getting hot because they kind of spitting. And then you put onion first. Same thing, you need to start layering them with salt and pepper, because onion had a sweet taste, so you need to put salt in it. First, I put about 1/3 of these bean sprouts inside, so it can lift up the noodle, not sticking at the bottom, to prevent them sticking all together. By the way, bean sprout doesn't have any flavor, so you also need to put salt and pepper. So evenly distribute them around, and then you start putting the noodles inside. Put the lid on to soften the noodle. And you need about 1/2 cup of water mixed with this bean paste. A little bit of soy sauce, about 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. The kind of soy sauce is light sauce, soy sauce for the steamed fish. onto the noodle. And then the noodles start changing color. Change to kind of brown tone. See, like the color you need to change. And then the smell is also change. At this point, you put the rest of the meat inside. Put the green onion and the pepper inside. And then put the bean sprout, the rest of the bean sprout. So the bean sprout will remain crunchy at this point. But remember, they don't have seasoning, so you need to sprinkle salt and pepper. I want to get a piece of noodle, taste it. Is it soft enough? I can't get them out. Cover for a few minutes. That's the dry fried river noodle with beef. It tastes very good. It's one of the dishes, it's my husband's favorite, except the first time I messed it all up, and he never forget it. Every now and then he used that to remind me that I made a detrimental mistake. Here's the dry fried river noodle with beef. So I'm going to move it to the other side and take a picture.